I'm Kay McNeil. Welcome to FCTV's new gardening program, Avant Gardening, where we'll teach you the proper way to garden, but with some very unorthodox techniques. Now, before you trust my gardening advice, you ought to know a little something about me. Am I a master gardener? You know, that is such a great program, but I haven't had time for that yet. Am I a horticulture major? Well, I certainly wish I were, because if I were, I would know how to let those plant Latin names roll off my tongue. But I'm not. What I have done is garden my whole life, and I've developed a certain style that I think has saved me a lot of time and probably has saved money. And that's what I'd like to do for you, is save you time and save you money. And I'd like to get the kids, the non-gardening spouse, and you involved in gardening. And yes, I did say the non-gardening spouse. Now, at the end of the show, we will print our email, so have your scrap paper and stubby pencils ready, because you will want to write that down and send for Kay's Big Seed giveaway. You might want instructions for paper pots. You may have gardening questions. You may have comments about the show. And if you have serious gardening questions that are emergencies, email me your phone number, and I'm one of the few people who say, yes, I will call you back. Now, my first helpful hint to you is about Zone 5. You live in Zone 5. Illinois is wonderful Zone 5. If you lived in Fairbanks, Alaska, you would be in Plant Hardiness Zone 1, or in Miami, Plant Hardiness Zone 10. The reason you want to know this is because when you go to garden centers and are planting new flowers for your garden, you want to read those tags. And if you don't read the tags, you may very well be planting plants that are not winter hardy here, and you'll be wasting your money because next spring they're dead. Even when you read the tags, you may not always be able to interpret what you're reading there. Yesterday I was at a garden center. Here are the most glorious anemones. Say they're winter hardy to 30 below zero. Oh wow, is this great, beautiful colors. But that's odd. I happen to know that in Illinois we only have white anemones that are winter hardy in our area. I went back and read the tag. It says 30 below zero. I asked the girl at the garden center. She said, and what is this about the 30 below zero? Will those really be winter hardy here? She says, oh, that's with mulch. I went and read the tag again. It does not mention mulch. So, what if I didn't put enough mulch on my beautiful anemones and they were only hardy to 5 below zero? No. Reading the tag will help you at least, hopefully, get a plant that will stay winter hardy in your garden. Now, let's briefly talk about soil. You've got the plants, you've done the best you can with it, but now you need some kind of decent stuff to put that plant in. We talked about what kind of plants for you to put in your garden, but we haven't talked about soil yet. And let me tell you, your soil probably needs improving. Now, I luckily live in an old house and with an old garden and old soil, so nobody took away my soil. But you probably live in a newer house, and what did they give you was the little puff of topsoil to keep your grass alive. So let's talk about soil and a little bit about equipment. Now, you may think that this is a real disgusting looking thing. Most of you like a trowel. One of the money-saving techniques I will give you is put your yarn on it, because then you can find it again. Invariably, you leave this in the garden. Now, my favorite digger of choice is the dandelion sticker. I can dig stuff out instantly with this thing. Notice the orange handle? Saves me money because I leave these all over the yard. And one of the most important things is, as a serious gardener, you will want to wear your gardening gloves. And you will want to get a tetanus shot, because wouldn't you feel silly if you got lockjaw from pathogens in the soil? All right, let's look at some soil. Now, never again put out leaves in the fall on your curb. You are going to steal your neighbor's leaves in the fall. I do this. I don't even wait till dark. Don't be shy. Cruise those big tree neighborhoods with your friends, whole carload of friends, and pick up chopped leaves. Now, a mulching mower makes leaves that look like this. This is pure gold and will help your soil. Now, if you have big leaves like this and you think, if I put those in my flower beds, they'll decay, the same thing will happen. Not true. Whenever there is a breeze, your big leaves blow away. Now, got that straight? Mark your calendars, September, steel leaves. I save all my leaves, and this sort of thing I just put in with my wildflower beds. We throw it everywhere, the plants come up through it. Now, let's look at the soil. Your soil you want to get so you can squeeze it like this and it crumbles. This is great soil. This is potting soil, but you actually want to get this kind of consistency in your yard. Most places in my yard, I can just shake a dandelion and it will pull out. I'll bet you can't do that in your yard. It's all about augmenting that soil. Okay, gardeners, now we need seeds to start, and everybody is itching to start those seeds. Now, if you have a lot of space, a lot of money, big tables at your house, big sunny room, you are going to want to have grow lights. And you will want to have lights that move up and down. You will want to have timers. You will want to have all of this wonderful equipment, peat pots, all of that. There are books at the Frankfurt Library that will be delighted to help you with that. And you'll be starting your seeds in February, so much earlier. For the rest of us, we have to use the sun. We have to move our plants around the house. So you will want a little gizmo like this. It will be a tray that you can move easily. What I do is I move my plants and seedlings from room to room, finding the sun during the day. You want to be sure you have a tray that does not leak. This is very important, as I've learned from experience. So our seeds will be planted the first 2 weeks of April. They will be ready to go out by Mother's Day. Always remember, mark Mother's Day on that calendar. That is your best day for starting and getting your annuals outside. Now, one of the easiest ways to start seeds is finding your own around the house. You didn't know you had seeds, did you? Well, you do. Are you thinking of having acorn squash for dinner tonight? Oh, let's chop that little fellow in half and look at all those swell seeds in there. Well, all of these seeds are potential seeds to grow in your garden. Look at these great squash guts. You're going to pull those seeds and separate them so that they don't have the stringy stuff on them anymore. Put them on a paper towel, put them on a plate. You're going to dry those seeds. Now, I normally dry all of my gourd and squash seeds in the fall, so they have plenty of time to dry out. I have never taken seeds in the spring, dried them briefly, and then planted them. I am thinking science fair project here for somebody out there. Let's talk about other seeds you can collect in your very own yard. In the fall, all those squash, all those pumpkin seeds that you've spent a bit of money on, all of those can be saved. So mark that calendar, November 1st, to remind yourself you will set aside some seeds to grow with your kids in the spring. Now, I personally adore big seeds, and I want to tell you, Avant Gardening is going to be giving away seeds. And so you'll want to be sure you have your stubby pencil and your scrap piece of paper ready at the end of the show to write down that email address, because I'd love to have you try some of my seeds. The kicker is going to be you won't know what they are. So this is always fun. It's a seed mystery. Let's look at some of these seeds. One of our first seeds that we're going to look at are gray Lumina pumpkins. You know, those are those wonderful white pumpkins, that new breed of pumpkin, little hard to grow, but why not save the seeds from it and try and start your own. Now here, these seeds are from are called night blooming gourd seeds. These are birdhouse gourds, and they're so interesting because the flowers bloom at night. One time I came out and went to the mailbox, and I realized that there were still a few flowers in bloom on the plants. And I'm thinking to myself, well, these night blooming squash, maybe nothing is in there pollinating it. So I took a little stick, I drilled around in there, big buzz came out of the flower. Let me tell you, nature knows how to take care of its own pollinating. These are night blooming gourd seeds. Let's look at annual vine seeds. These are one of my favorite seeds, and they are so beautiful. They are purple with black speckles, and they are huge. Kids adore these. These are called scarlet runner bean seeds. Wonderful purple leaves, wonderful purple vine, and just a great looking plant. Let me tell you about cucumber seeds. Now, the first year you may have to buy your own seed packets, but after that, invariably, there is a giant cucumber that has escaped picking, and it gets really huge, it gets really yellow. This is a great plant to take the seeds out of. So I dry these again on a paper towel, use them for next year, free cucumber seeds. Now, even marigolds can be saved. Of course, you'll have to buy seed the first year or your plants or whatever, but marigold seeds, when they dry, this is how they look. And you don't even realize the seeds are in there. You pull it apart, they are funny, long, thin seeds like this, and those can be saved for the next year. Now, the fun thing about the marigold seeds is they may come true to the ones that you saved them from, or they may not. Let's even talk about tomato seeds. I love heirloom tomato seeds, and they come in black. Names like Black Krim, Black Cherokee. These are all wonderful tomato names. Mr. Stripey, Mr. Smiley. All of these are such cool names. Those seeds will all come true for you. So once you buy some of your heirloom tomato plants, you then decide you're going to try and save the seed. The best way to do that is, this does not look good, but you take the tomato seeds, spread them out on your paper towel, and just leave them there. When I go to plant, and let them dry of course, when I go to plant these, I leave them on the paper towel because they will grow through the paper towel. So that's how you start your own tomato seeds. Now, once you've started your tomato plants, you will get little cuties like this coming up in your yogurt cup. One thing you want to do is harden off those seeds. And the way you do, and what that means is you are going to get your seeds acclimated to go outside. When they have grown inside, they are weak, they are puny. They need to go outside and get a little hardening off, or else they will not last. So what you're going to do is, once your seedlings get big, is you're going to start hauling them outside, and like a plant like your tomato plant, what I do is once a day I brush it. Now, I don't know if the tomato plant thinks that is a spring breeze passing over it, but that is my way of simulating it and trying to make the plant hardier and ready to go outside. Okay, now are we all in agreement that we are going to save our squash, our gourd, our cucumber, our pumpkin seeds for next fall after Halloween? Okay, you'll be delighted with this. Plus, then you're willing to spend more money for those squash and pumpkins because you know you are going to get free seeds out of them. All right, let's talk about what we're going to plant the seeds in, because this can be a lot of fun too. Now, I'm going to give you a close-up of the soil. You go to any store, buy the cheapest kind of soil. You'll notice these white things in here. This is vermiculite and peat moss. This keeps your soil loose. You'll also notice I'm using the teaspoon. Hey, who says that you can't use kitchen utensils for gardening? But just general, the most inexpensive peat moss, because you are going to get the seedlings up and growing and get them outside as fast as you can. So they will go into our wonderful Midwest soil and start growing for you. Let's talk about containers. Now, for those of you who did not, as part of your inheritance, receive an ice pick, I am really sorry for you, because this is a very important and crucial piece of gardening equipment. Now, you can start your plants in a pot like this, regular clay pot. Notice the drainage hole. I always put a little piece of paper towel over there to get it started, but this is your time-honored pot. Well, maybe you don't have a lot of these. So, what you're going to do is look for an alternative pot. How about your yogurt cup? Now, you don't want to do this with kids, but you might want to do it when you're angry. So, you need drainage holes in your yogurt cup. Fill this little puppy up with your peat moss, your soil mix, and plant your seeds. Here is one of the most unusual plant containers you've ever seen because it is made out of newspaper. Oh, are we talking ultimate wonderful recycling at its best? Of course. This is a great thing and easy to make. You are going to start with your giant piece of Wall Street Journal. You will fold it the long way. You will fold it again the long way. You are going to take your tumbler. You are going to roll it along the top. And now your glass top is in here. You are going to fold this in. And you think, I'm planting plants in that? Well, yes, you can. Now, because I'm a little worried about the structural possibilities of paper peat pots, I always use a little bit of masking tape across the side, just to hold it, and across the bottom. Because I find that these paper pots do not last as long as you'd hope. So if you are planting bigger seeds, you have to start earlier, you'll have to water more. Be sure you do not use paper pots for those because they may disintegrate before you get them in the ground. All right, here we have our paper pot. Voila! And you take your glass, the bottom of it, crush it down all the way around, and then you have a wonderful pot to put your potting soil. Put those seeds in. I've often been asked the question if the Wall Street Journal was better, the Tribune, or the Sun-Times. I would use your longest piece of paper because that will turn out to be your best paper. And do not use shiny paper because that has synthetic chemicals in it that will not be good for your seedlings. Next, I am going to show you my favorites. Here come the boys. And of course, your children will be dying to name these. All the men in my family are named Donald, so I figured this is the Don egg, don't you think? Now, one thing of interest here is hair cutting. Again, you use your nail scissors. Well, this morning, I gave Mr. Whitey here a nice mohawk haircut. Now, the Don egg has not ever had a haircut, so you can see what luxurious growth you get on him. This is grass seed, common grass seed that you are going to use to sprinkle around your yard, and you just put the grass seed in with your peat planting material, and away you stand back and let it go. And these are so cute. You want to use Sharpie markers for your faces. Now I have to tell you, I experimented a little bit. Food coloring on the egg, not so cool. Just to show you what it looks like. I think you could use permanent marker to recolor your eggs and freshen up the color a little bit. Now, one sideline of this, if you are a cat family, you will be interested to know your cat will especially adore these. Now, that brings us to the subject of hairballs and possibly green hairballs, but the cat will adore it. The cat will carry it around. This is what I call the inexpensive chia egg. This is one of my favorites. Once again, here I am with Grandpa's ice pick. Oh, and what do we have? Our common garden chicken egg. And this ice pick, never use it for mayhem, only for good in your garden. So what you're going to do is, oh, and are we having scrambled eggs for breakfast tomorrow? I think so. All right, do that, shake that nice thing out of there. Then, who would have thought that your nail scissors is one of your gardening tools? you are going to trim up your eggshell so it looks very nice and tidy around the edge. Well, this one is looking nice and tidier as we go along. Now, this is a job for mom or dad. You will want to use your ice pick and put a teeny tiny hole in the bottom. That's sort of tough to do, and I have to tell you, I often break the egg. You are not surprised at that, I'm sure. So here we have a delightful egg ready to have your peat pot material put into it, and it's ready to go. You want to save your popsicle sticks during the winter because it's an inexpensive way to tag your plants. And if you don't tag your plants, trust me, you will never remember what these seeds are. So, saving your popsicle seeds, if they are riddle popsicles, you get to relive a whole bunch of really great riddles like, who do the inches follow? Their ruler. First seedlings here are tomato plants. And remember, we keep going like this to those tomatoes, and in fact, all of these plants, because we want to help them harden off. These are the purple runner beans. Start a little late, but you get to see a nice shot of how they look when they come. This is part of the actual bean hanging off of the plant here till they send their true leaves. These, and I'm very excited about this, these are my 10-year-old watermelon seeds, and I think they're going to make it. This is something I bought last year. It is a pink pumpkin, and it was different, I'll tell you that. Anyway, look at the foliage on this guy. Every single seed came up. What have I got? 6 seedlings. So this was a great thing to start. I can actually start this an extra week later just because it came up so fast. These are scarlet runner beans, and you can see with the annual vines that they are dying for a trellis. They are out here, they are looking, and you don't see this, but technically the plant is turning itself, trying to find something it can lean against for a trellis. Now, every vining plant, whether it is clematis, whether it is an annual bean like this, they will either turn clockwise or counterclockwise, and every single time, now this one wants to turn clockwise, they will always twine clockwise around their trellis. Just a little weird plant lore. I knew you were dying to know. All right, let's talk a little bit about indoor plants that you can do. And this was probably a winter project, but we didn't have a winter show. So let's talk a little bit about things you can do inside your house to bring spring inside. Now, I purchased this hyacinth bulb. Reading the teeny weeny print with my glasses on, I discovered this has not had any cold hardiness given to it. All bulbs that are like outdoor bulbs, they need to be cold treated, so I've had this in the refrigerator. Now it comes, and these things are hysterical if you've never used one. This is a peat pot. This is peat planting material ready to go. You put this in the pot, you add water, the thing plumps up and will totally fill up the pot, and then you push your bulb down in it. Now, any presents that you get, you know, Easter, everybody wants to bring mom Easter lilies, tulips, whatever it is, remember that those bulbs can go outside in your garden. And do not cut the foliage. Let me repeat, do not cut the foliage. Everybody always is asking, oh, we planted so many daffodils. Only a couple came up. Oh, are they in the grass? Yes. Do you cut the grass? Yes. Oh, what a surprise. The foliage puts strength back into the bulb for the coming year. You cannot cut the foliage. All right, this is a real cute container that shows you a hyacinth bulb. Now, I have kept this in the garage so that it would show you how it's going to start to change color. But isn't this a wonderful way to display it with the roots and this? Now, as soon as this is done blooming, of course I would not cut the foliage, and I will then plant it outside. It will not bloom this spring, but the following spring, definitely I will have a purple hyacinth somewhere in my yard. Another interesting bunch of bulbs that are frequently sold are narcissus bulbs. They look like this, and they again come with the cool, well, they seem to have a lot of skins on them, but again, come with the cool peat thing. You add water to this, it plumps up instantly. It is a hysterical way to get your potting soil. You put all of these bulbs in here and they will come up. They bloom beautifully. In fact, like this, these have been cold treated. Unfortunately, narcissus are not winter hardy in Illinois. So you plant these outside. You hope that next spring, a year hence, that you will have a wonderful bulb display. If you're just planting these, sorry, not going to happen. Two other things, well, actually I've got three. Two other things that here are of interest are, this is a sweet potato. Now, sweet potatoes, you put the toothpicks in with your kids, and then you plop it in that old pickle jar. It will send out roots. It will eventually send a vine out the top. Now, while you're waiting for that, if you have some ivy that you would like to get started and rooted, why not stick it in the side there? The ivy will root and be ready for planting outside to also help you save costs on your annuals. I also bought at the garden show at Navy Pier 2 lily bulbs to show you how lovely they look when they first start to sprout, and you know you've got a good bulb when you see the sprout. These you will plant in your garden right now and have them ready to bloom by midsummer. Many people like to buy an amaryllis. Well, I have ways of making the amaryllis rebloom. These are the mysteries of the amaryllis, but here it is. Alas, this one chose to not rebloom this year, but remember, don't cut the foliage. Now, to show you what an amaryllis should look like, this is the way it looks when it blooms. This is one of the biggest bulbs that you can start. And it's a lot of fun because you can actually physically measure the bulb as it blooms, and it'll grow about 2 inches a day and then put out this spectacular flower display. Now, for any of you watching this show and looking at this closely, you're thinking, that is the most glorious amaryllis I have ever seen in my life. That is because this particular amaryllis is fake, and I'm showing it to you for illustration. Another interesting seed that you can plant for winter is an avocado pit. Well, and we all know you were dying to have guacamole anyway, so why throw out your adorable pits? I had a friend come over and they wondered if I was growing alien baby eggs, but of course we're not. This is what the avocado pit looks like. You stick some toothpicks through it, a lot of fun. Eventually, hopefully, you will get roots and a plant coming out of it. Unfortunately, avocados are not winter hardy in Illinois. Well, maybe by this time you're saying, you know, that's really more than I wanted to know about seeds. So, let me take you outside and we'll look at some of the spring bulbs that are coming up and show you some really unusual techniques on dividing those right now. And I'll bet you've never seen those words in a magazine article. Now, I am going to show you something that you will never read about in a book, and this is one of those bizarre techniques that I talked about that I'm going to teach you that really saves you a lot of time and a lot of money. Now you can see that I have virtually thousands of bulbs. If I wait until fall to plant my bulbs, I'm going to be cutting through a lot of other divots of bulbs. So what I do is I move them in the spring. This is a little unheard of, but I am here to tell you it works great. Now, a little bit about your equipment. I know there are a lot of people who adore the big long-handled spade, and if you are muscle-bound, you want the one with the fiberglass handle because otherwise you're going to keep cracking these fellas up. Oddly, my spade of choice is this little shorty. It's called the back bender, and I can't help it. It's the one I like best. It works best for me. So what we're going to do today is we're going to dig out some bulbs. I'm going to show you how you need to divide your bulbs too if you've been in your house for very long and have been working in your yard for very long. So let's pop these babies out. Okay, see, I just put my little spade under there, pop this baby out. I know you're all cringing. By the way, blue flowers, these are scillas, spread wonderfully. All right, let's look at the bottom of this. We'll shake this dirt off and let's look at the bottom of it. And you'll be able to see when I pull this apart that how deep these are. Look how many bulbs are in here. These are crying to be divided. So the oldest ones are at the bottom, the younger ones are up at the top. They actually force themselves out of the soil because there are too many in the clump and they need to be divided. Now the little ones up at the top here, they probably will not bloom next year, but they might. But whatever happens, you'll have plenty of new blossoms all over your yard. Okay, and here we have them, and you're just going to throw them right in there. Shake your dirt back down in. You got a few left over. Just stab those puppies down in there. Put some nice leaves over them. Never knew they had been moved. Now here I have a lovely clump of little daffodils. One year I realized they didn't have enough little daffodils, so I ordered all the little daffodils in the catalog. But look how adorable these are, and I'd love to move some around. So once again, I know you're cringing. We're just going to pop these puppies out. And they will never even know they've been moved. Once again, small bulbs on the top. Look how much bigger the ones at the bottom are. All of these should bloom next year because they're of nice size for a small daffodil. We're also still remembering, right? Never cut the foliage. You'll notice I'm not trimming these up. Now, these are in bloom. Oh my God, they'll die. No, not to worry. It'll be okay. Here we are in an area where I think I need more daffodils. You don't see any, do you? So I must need more here. So you're going to pull your daffodils out, you're going to pull them apart, you're going to leave them in little bundles of, I like to put in 3. Now remember, if you're the kind of person that likes to measure between your bulbs, fine and dandy. Don't listen to this next part. For the rest of you, what you want to do is naturalize these, broadcast them, make them look like they just came up. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just dig a hole, and believe me, you do not have to spend a lot of time on this. You're going to stuff those in, go like that. Very shortly, God will send us wonderful spring rains. They will never even know they were moved. All you're going to do is just dig your hole, stuff those in, pat it down. Now, a lot of people get carried away about how deep is the hole. Should I use bone meal? All those things are great. If you have time for that sort of thing, go for it. I do not. All right, I'm scanning over the bob area, and it looks to me like I could surely use more bulbs over here. And I may actually move some bigger ones in here later today. Okay, you got this technique? Dig the hole, slap in the bulb, give it a good press down, put those nice chopped leaves around it. Does it look happy or what? Now we're also, you'll notice, in a very tree rooty area. Okay, here we go. Just dig in fast, grab a little bundle. Let's put those in, push the dirt back around, stand them up. Everybody's fluffed up. Look like they've bloomed there their whole lives. Okay, Frankfurt, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this first edition of Avant Gardening and are going to get out in the garden and try some new things. Also be sure that you keep watching for our email address and send in your questions, and I'll try and get back to you and answer those soon. Watch for our next edition of Avant Gardening.